I got you. Sorry about that.
Oh, gosh. I think with not bad. I think with my bad because I have to use the computer audio as the speaker I'm using here wasn't working, but I can see it and see it perfectly. And I just wanted to say, like, I really, really appreciate your support, Bob. And I suppose just have a little chat about what you think's going on, where you think they're going, and maybe how you woke up. Like as well, I'm really interested to see, how people woke up, and I can kind of give you a bit of background about myself too.
Yeah, that'd be great. So for me, Behold a Pale Horse back in the early
Oh,
2000 area.
yeah, right. So you were awake since pretty much like, what was it, the 2000s?
Yeah,
Not like just after 9/11. Kind of thing with it.
actually, it was before 9/11. So I was following Alex Jones back then, and all of the Luke Radowski and the people that were part of that original crew that he had, and got hooked up with a copy of Behold a Pale Horse and started my deep dive then. So Intel War went, which is my X site, had a couple 100,000 posts, was an online content aggregator for all of the alt. So it was one of the early link harvesters, and then it got hacked a couple times, and at various points I was in and out. But yeah, I've been awake for a long time.
What was it like being awake before 9/11 and then seeing 9/11 happen? Were you automatically suspicious of the event?
Oh yeah, so I'm also spent almost 20 years as a volunteer firefighter, state certified in all of the various aspects of that. And so when I saw that building go down, I knew immediately it wasn't true. That's not how those buildings collapse. That's a class one construction. They don't pancake that way. You can't free fall in your own center of gravity. And it was dead nuts obvious. So I was immediately suspicious of the whole thing and have,
Like, so makes that.
yeah, I guess. So if I back up even further, every aspect of my career is getting thwarted by these motherfuckers. So it doesn't surprise me at all. It didn't surprise me, and it still doesn't surprise me. I am looking forward to some resolution. But if I go all the way back to when I worked at CMGI, and I did all the technology due diligence and purchased Elon Musk's first company called zip2.com. And we integrated that. It was a hyper-local directory. We integrated that into a platform called myway.com, which was designed to be a competitor to AOL. And if you ever want to see all of this, everything I'm telling you is at bobstewart.com/about. And literally the videos of me describing how that personal portal system was supposed to work back in that era is all up there. I've got videos of it all up there, me on Bloomberg and all this other shit. But the point I was going to make is that as soon as I recognized what they could do with all of the harvesting of the data that was coming from the users, the user interactions, and I wanted to put privacy practices into place, they were like, "You're fucking out of here. We're not going to do anything ethical. What are you talking about?" So I left there.
So I've had a bit of not a similar background, but I worked in IT. That's pretty much been my career as well. I worked for Oracle for quite a long time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's super interesting that you have that background. So that's at bob@stewart.com. I got that. And when I go /about, I could find more information about it.
Yeah, bobstewart.com/about is where you'll find like my background bio stuff. But so I joined CMGI, which was the East Coast's largest internet incubator. And before that, I was the chief technology officer for the Motorola Internet Networking Group, which is about $1 billion arm of Motorola when they were at their peak. So that's where I really could see what we could do with mobile devices, what we could see already with phones at that point. We did one of the first what they call the WAP-based browser, and integrated that. And you could just see how we were starting to aggregate all of this data around the consumer. And there was going to be no respecting that whatsoever. That once the big banks saw it, they just wanted it. And so then it got worse from there. So I left there because I could see the inside of the .com 1.0 bubble bursting. big long story there, but I joined a company as a co-founder called Cybermedica, which was to accelerate drug and device discovery and ensure that it was done in an ethical and responsible manner. And we had about a $70 million pipeline of business, and we had the Office for Human Research Protection blessing it. And my director of security at that thing was Lieutenant General William Odom, who was the director of the NSA from the Nixon through the Reagan administrations, oversaw the Cold War. And I remember distinctly him being, all of this is in his notes because he's since passed away. And so it's all in the Library of Congress. And they have his notes as a general under the banner of Cybermedica, Cybermedica. And Cybermedica, at the end of the day, it was an early blockchain company. We weren't calling it blockchain, but we were using a data-centric model where you could not modify it because we were using a nonce on each subsequent record so that the previous record's integrity could be maintained and that they couldn't go back and modify clinical trial data. And sure enough, that one got kiboshed as well. They put an end to that. They're like, all right, well, we don't want that. So after a long, drawn-out battle, I ended up buying all of the intellectual property of that company and then turning it over with a woman named Juntra Karabong-Lavorthan, who was the director of SIDCER, SIDCER, which was the Strategic Initiative for Developing Capacity and Ethical Review within the World Health Organization. And I open sourced the software and put it up on SourceForge, and it's still up there. And about almost a couple thousand copies of it were downloaded by various medical research facilities around the world. But what the Lieutenant General was interested in was, I described to him a vision that I had that, well, if you use this, you could tell who was doing clandestine biological weapons work because they'd be the laboratories that were not registered with the Cybermedica system for ethical research. So you could see him light up when he realized that, but it wasn't for the reasons that I thought he was. I thought he was actually interested in helping, but no, I think they were interested in continuing the work that they'd already been doing and remaining undetected. So that company got bankrupted. I open sourced it. I put the software out there, and then I ended up joining and working for John Scully because I believed that you had to be able to verify who was saying that this was good or who was saying this was bad. And so I joined John Scully in New York for a company called Verified Person, which was one of the first deep state background screening companies. So are you who you say you are? Have you done what you say you've done? And are you still on the path of maintaining your integrity in whatever it is that you do? So this ended up becoming the system that's used by G4S and Wackenhut to screen Q-cleared people within the Department of Energy. So all the nuclear folks, and it's a continuous early AI using lambda calculus and smart Chinese mathematicians. We were able to calculate vectors of intent and the like. So that was really where I got exposed to big warehouse, big data, and John Scully and all of the people at Roe Ventures and this foreign influenced investors from Israel, then with a guy named Tal Moisey, ended up kiboshing that one and selling it off. So after that, I'm like, all right, well, now I know how to keep track of the people. I know how to look in their backgrounds and tie their profiles to them. Now, how do I actually physically tie the profiles to them so it's not being spoofed electronically? So there was a couple things in between, but ultimately I ended up working for EMC Corporation doing work in security and the storage space. So I was the CTO for global physical security right when the Chinese hacked the RSA keys and stole the F-35 plans. So I ended up on doing some work on a TS cleared facility down in Fredericksburg that was building Google Street View for Afghanistan. And so I built the next generation of that platform. And then they asked me to go down to Florida to check out a biometrics company. So I ended up going down to Florida, and this company was using ultrasound to use the fingerprint as the targeting reticle, but they were really interested in the microvasculature that makes up the pinkness in all of your fingertips. So we were using an ultrasound to go all the way through and look at the fingerprint as, again, a targeting reticle, and then the target itself was the microvasculature. And we got that done, and we got it really small. So this is, here, hold it up here. This is a card.
See there, what?
Yeah, that actually has the sensor right over here built into it. The sensor itself, that's an ultrasound machine, right? So a lot of meetings at the Pentagon and with defense contractors and all the people that were interested in securing things by. That's when Benghazi hit. And so I got put onto a red team that wanted to use these as CAC cards in order to facilitate getting people into the compounds quicker. But then that obviously had the secretary of Department of Homeland Security, the original Michael Chertoff, he was on my advisory board. Lots of big name people. The head of chief technology officer for Assa Abloy, which is the #1 company in the world that makes locks and doors and catches of any kind to secure anything. They didn't want. At the end of the day, we birthed a root certificate authority. We used the big guns to do it. And when I say that, I'm talking about a guy named Fraser Evans, who was part of the Booz Allen Hamilton. So we brought Booz Allen in, and we went through that whole process of birthing a root certificate authority and creating an impenetrable encryption. We had a DoD red team come in and take a look at the whole thing, and they came back with a good report. They said, yeah, we would just add you to a targeting list and blow up your facility because we can't crack it. Yeah. So, but the bottom line is that, yeah. So we got another bunch of NSA people that joined, and then they wanted to move it into mobile. They wanted to sell the sensors to Apple and Samsung in particular. And so we started moving the tech over to China. But we had to do all the secure work out of the IBM facility up in Burlington, Vermont, because it was the only trusted foundry in the U.S. where we could blow the certificates onto the chips during wafer probe. But the net there was, I used to joke about it. I'd say, well, if we could only get people to vote for American Idol using these new devices, we'd be. And we took the whole device and we made it into a key fob. So this key fob actually has Bluetooth low energy, Wi-Fi, a speaker, a camera, an ARM processor. It can also be used as a credit card. It has all the capabilities for unlocking anything. We called it the ID key. And we manufactured those and started selling them, and that got shut down fast when they decided to pivot everything over to mobile. So I left there and I did two things. I ended up joining a company called Votum with a guy named Pete Martin. I didn't realize he was such a staunch liberal Democrat guy, but the net is that I went to Cleveland and built an end-to-end blockchain voting system. This was right after Trump had been elected in 2016. And so I felt like I was jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, but I did. So we were using containers that were basically compiled and on the fly with randomization in the heap, so that even if you could find a zero-day vulnerability and tried to peek and poke it, it would only work for that one instance that was running on that one cloud server at that one moment in time. So the entire system was end-to-end blockchain, and it was being used for UOCAVA voting for the military. And then they did a dumb thing. They decided to align themselves with the bar association so that the lawyers could vote for the members of the bar association. As soon as the lawyers saw it, they shut that shit down. They're like, yeah, no way. We're not going to. They said, well, you can collect votes, but we're going to count them the way that we've always counted them. And so we did VSAT for Smartmatic, and we were integrating Yeah, we're integrating the tech into our platform for bringing to market. And we did some interesting stuff for like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All those votes went through the votum system. But the net was they didn't want any change to the way they counted votes. And I'm like, you're fucking shitting me. I'm like, if you think I'm going to risk the sanctity of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America on you, you're fucked. No way. So I gave them the whole solution on how to do it correctly. And as soon as they said that they weren't going to use the whole part of it for adding it up, and I knew that because we had done the research, we had torn the software apart. Like, why are you using floating point integers here? Like, that doesn't belong in counting votes. It's a 1 or a 0. It's not a 0.2 of a vote. So I saw all the inside of that, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. And so I've been on a lot of lists, and I'm still on a lot of lists.
What? Oh, are you? It's because you would probably have seen the corruption with the voting fraud.
Oh yeah. Oh, I saw that. I was trying to fix it. They didn't want it fixed. So then I decided, all right, well, the only way to deal with this is to protect the sovereignty of people's individual information. Because one thing to be able to vote, let's say you are going to vote using a blockchain system. What end user license agreement are you tacitly agreeing to? And what is the jurisdiction that you are going to be able to bring any complaint or concern? So the way it's written right now, you're literally using foreign jurisdictions. The end user license agreement that's enrolled into by the polling place when they implement and install the software has its own path. So if I'm a citizen, you have to know where I live, because if I live on the right side of a road, I may be in one district. If I live on the left side of the road, I may be in a different district. So how do I, because of the way they gerrymander districts, so how can I know that I've been given the correct ballot that has the correct names on it, or I might be voting for somebody who's not even representing me? So knowing where somebody lived and knowing where they have a nexus for legal escalation is critical. You've got to know, listen, I've got a problem with this ballot. This is wrong. It's not my ballot. I need to be able to take it up to the district court level, or I got a superior court level, or the state court level, or the federal court level. So if you're going to do that, you have to have standing. In order to have standing, you have to be able to prove that this is where you were, this is how you voted, and your vote didn't go in the right bucket. So the only way to do that is to know exactly who somebody is, where they are, and what jurisdiction they're in. So I built this entire blockchain architecture based on some of the work that I had done at Votum that they didn't want, and I called it ExoChain to make the blockchain stronger. And I wasn't awake enough because I guess I was a little too drunk in how it was all going. But as soon as I started talking about this, I literally had Delta Force operators investing in the company, like a lot, and showing up every day and quitting their jobs to come work for me. And as soon as they saw what the burn rate was and how much cash we had, they yanked the rug out from underneath me and said, you got to give this whole thing up over to this Goldman Sachs based former Mossad agent guy who's going to run it. And I'm like, fuck you, go away. Go away. I'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come back stronger than ever. Go fuck yourself, because I'm not giving up my intellectual property for anybody. So I have an 1,800-page systems development lifecycle at OpenSDLC.com, which was a part of the open sourcing of the Cybermedica project that I've repurposed and am now building very sophisticated AI models so that I have employees that I can trust. So that's my story. And I love the shit that you're doing, dude. Keep banging it, because, yeah, first of all, you're a great editor.
I'm stepping it up now. I've got a lot of work to do now for over the next few months. And how I wanted to do with these calls is, so this will be like the first intro call. I'll just listen to your story a little bit, and then maybe I want to do another call in October before we hit November. And in that call, I'll show you what I look like, and we can have a video call ourselves properly. And this is just so this is just call one, and then call two we'll do in October, hopefully, and we'll see where we're at with all the changes in the States and so on. But how were you and the fam after Saturday with the whole incident with Trump? Was it a bit of a shock? I can imagine for you guys over there.
Yeah, I think it's not unexpected. I've been a person who's followed all of the 4chan writings for a long time. So you see certain things that resonate. And so it doesn't really surprise me that there was a close call. The scripting and the narrative and how some of those shots were framed, and the fact that I had that shot with him and his fist in the air and the flag flying upside down and the people leaning in like Iwo Jima. And I had that image within about a minute of the event happening. Yeah. It was a great movie. I got popcorn galore. I'm just watching it unfold at this point. He's leading them right to their own death, even right down to his vice presidential pick, which is a complete, I haven't fully processed it, but this is a guy that they all pretend to hate, but he's been involved in all their stuff. So either he's a fifth column guy who's seen the inside of it, decided like me to actually dive into it. People could point the finger at him and say, hey, this guy is a bad guy because of X, Y, and Z, or he's done it enough that he sees how to dismantle it now because he understands the internal mechanism design, and he's going to blow it the fuck up. I'm not exactly sure, but it certainly rattled a lot of people. And now there's an incredible amount of stuff coming out, like someone shorted a shit ton of DJT stock right before the whole thing happened. They got angles that have been analyzed in open source intelligence for where the shot came through, who got hit, and then where ricochets happened. It looks like there was another shooter. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just stinks to high heaven. The fact that Jill Biden and Kamala Harris were both in Pennsylvania on the same day, taking up all the Secret Service resources so that they didn't have them they had to prioritize things. The whole thing just stinks.
That's how the shooter is from, wasn't it? That's where that shooter was from, was Pennsylvania, am I mistaken?
Yeah, that's where the rally was. Yeah. So they were in the same state. So if you got Kamala Harris traveling to some place in Pennsylvania, and Jill Biden traveling to someplace in Pennsylvania, and Donald Trump, well, you only have so many Secret Service resources. You got to spread them out, right? They're not unlimited. We can't clone them like Agent Smith.
Did you see that they had mentioned there's one shooter that was mentioned first, and then they changed the name? Was that report?
Yeah, we did see that. More stinks to high heaven.
Absolutely. So I just got a little notification here from Zoom. I don't have the full Zoom package, so we got 9.5 minutes left. So if I do jump in before we got 2 minutes left, it'll be just to round things up. I'm not being rude or anything like that at all.
No worries, brother.
Wanted to flag that with you, but also I wanted to ask. I'm going to be looking to setting up like a podcast type thing where like a live chat. And if would you be open to coming in, maybe explaining some of your background with the voting, just how you were able to know that there was so many anomalies of what we were presented with the steel and so on.
Oh hell yeah! I'm out in the open now, so my head's already sticking up there. I've had the FBI pounding on my door. Oh yeah. Yep.
I'm like, I'd love to hear with that, because so what I'm trying to do is I want to set up a live chat and speak to people like yourself who are following me with that really interesting stories and some brilliant information. And I'd like to familiarize myself with the bobstewart.com/about info first. So then I could go in and actually have some proper intelligent questions and people can enjoy the interview and more. But would you be open to that maybe over the next couple of months if I send something like that up, and we'll have other people that I speak to as well will be telling their stories, giving some input as well? Because, what you're saying here is really it's mind blowing. Some of it's over my head, but I know that people that do like the channel would love to hear it with maybe even questions for you as well. Would you be open for that maybe over the next couple of months?
Oh yeah, I'd love to support you in any way I can, man.
Oh, that would be great, Bob. That would be great. And the other thing was, so how do you think we're going to go with the remainder of the, I suppose, the run into November? Do you think that we'll see the the famous change of batter quote from the fortune drops? Do you think that would begin with Biden being swapped out, or do you reckon Biden will make it to November? What do you think?
Yeah, so if I have to put on my looking glass, I would say that everything that they've been saying is actually unfolding because it's already unfolded. That we're starting to have a recognition that space time is a little different than what we were told, and that they've had their path, their fate is sealed. I don't know that how far down the rabbit hole I believe, but I'm pretty sure that these aren't the same people anymore. I'm pretty sure that that Derek Johnson is on track more than off track. I'm not saying he's got it all figured out, because I don't think if they did, he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing, but he's got it enough figured out that we're watching an awakening occur. So I suspect that things are going to get worse for a lot of people, and that there's going to be more scare events to come.
Oh, with the scare events, do you think that's maybe kind of a nuclear scare potentially?
I think the Russians love their children too, so I don't think anybody wants to run nuclear. I think that they're threatening it, and if you go back and just look at some of the footage that came out of various regions of very massive explosions, you don't need nuclear to tell a nuclear story. We have kinetic capabilities that'll put a mushroom cloud up. So I personally don't think that that'll happen. I think that the only nuclear disaster that we have to deal with right now is still Fukushima, and that's just was idiocy, right? You don't store nuclear stuff on top of a nuclear facility. So I think that they saw how bad that gets and how fast it gets bad. And if you go back and look at the historical record of our planet, it looks like it's happened several times at some level. I'm not saying it was all nuclear, but they've definitely wiped this place out more than once. And nobody wants that.
You're referring to the Mahabharata, I think it's the Indian texts where they're talking about having nuclear conflicts, the sky gods back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree with you.
And so when all of those texts are nicely locked up and, oh, geez, look, we found 80,000 manuscripts in this monastery somewhere. But look over here, don't pay attention to the millions of scripts that we got stored in the Vatican library, run by a bunch of satanic pedophiles in their snake theater, right? It's like, you can't even make this shit up, right? It's like, it's so crazy. Which you know better than anybody. We're going to see it run its course all the way up to November. They're going to steal the election again, and they're going to say that Trump's not in, and then the military will have to step in.
That's the way I think it. So do you think that they will refuse to certify it, or that they'll just do the same thing again?
Yeah.
Propose.
I don't know what tactic they're going to use. They've tried so many at this point. They'll do whatever sticks. I think they're literally slinging mud against the wall and seeing what sticks. And if it sticks, they pour gas on it, even if it lights them on fire. Like, oh yeah, we'll find somebody else to sling it. We'll find somebody else to sling the next bucket of mud. Sorry, Charlie, you're done.
That's the type of psychopaths we're dealing with at the moment.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just looking at the little timer here, Bob. We got like pretty much 3 minutes left, or a little less than 3 minutes. So what I would say is, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you now, just to get to know you initially. Let's do another call in like probably 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and let's I'll do a video call with you then, and I'm happy to show my, I can see you're a real person, and I think you've got a really interesting story, and I'd love to bring that story to a wider audience as well, so we can maybe flesh that out on a video call ourselves. of familiarizing myself more with your background so that I will be more educated. So proper questions to ask you for people when we do a more of a general live stream with the FGB members of the chat. How does that sound?
Yeah, again, I'm happy to support you in whatever way works best for you. And this is good stuff to get out. My the only hesitancy that I have, and the only reason I'm all zoomed in like this is because I don't want pictures of my 9 children out there. You know.
Oh no, if you're not children as well. Well, look, I do. That's amazing. That's a workload in itself. I do hope they're all going well.
Well, they're all very awake there, and only 2 of them ever got the shot. So we're blessed.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they were the first 2 shots, you know, a lot of them were saline and
Yeah, and I believe that my 2 stepdaughters got the saline because they had 0 effect, and yeah, they subsequently just dealt with the virus. But
okay. Well, look, we got literally 60 seconds left. So, Bob,
God bless.
you and the family the very best. Looking forward to speaking to you again. A bit more info on me and stuff like that the next round, because this is a bit of a hurried call. But just wanted to say thank you very much for Mr. Truth Bomb. And you, the videos that are coming out and that are scheduled to come out over the next while are because of yourself. And others like you that have stepped up. So I will be putting your name in the credits of a movie that's coming up as well, because I want to make sure everyone remembers who were the real kind of patriots behind this channel, and that is the patriots like yourself. So every video that you see, that's because of yourself. And God bless you and your family, mate. And I look forward to speaking to you again in a couple of weeks. All right.
Looking forward to it myself. Take care and stay blessed.
Bless. God bless. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.